Ever since I was a child growing up by the rice paddies of Indonesia, I've known what it feels like to be an outsider. Born into a missionary family, I learned early on what it's like being a stranger in a foreign land, and I identified with other outsiders that I met along the way. But in every place I lived, the table has always been a place of welcome. It's a place where people slow down, let down their guards, tell stories, and connect. When I'm seated at a table with steaming food and diverse people around me, I feel more alive than any other place. It wasn't until later in life that I realized this transforming effect of the table, this deep sense of home and belonging I felt, was an experience of hospitality and part of a bigger story, the Christian story. It was the story of God welcoming humanity into God's love and kingdom family, and then urging those welcome to pay it forward, to extend the welcome they received to others. I learned that the culminating story in Scripture is of a great heavenly wedding feast, where God and God's people from every tribe and nation will gather around an exquisite banquet table. The more I studied, I also came to realize that Christian hospitality is much more than having friends over for dinner. Hospitality in Greek is philoxenia, literally love of the stranger. And that's what it meant in the ancient world, loving or taking responsibility for the well-being of a stranger. God instructed the Hebrew people to remember what it felt like to be foreigners in Egypt and to deal justly with strangers in their own land. The early Christians, living as a persecuted minority within the Roman Empire, strongly identified with outsiders and were well respected for how they cared for the vulnerable. And Jesus himself was very clear about loving the stranger in Matthew 25. He tells his disciples that when they serve the least of these, the hungry, the thirsty, the stranger, the naked, the sick, and the prisoner, they were in fact serving him in disguise.